The reflection that walked away without me. True creepy story from Austin, Texas. Part 1, The Blink That Shouldn't Have Happened. It was just another late night in Austin. I was half asleep, standing in the bathroom brushing my teeth, letting the soft buzz of the electric toothbrush zone me out. The lights overhead were dim, casting soft shadows that swayed slightly every time I moved. My mind was already drifting toward bed. Then something yanked me back. In the mirror, my reflection blinked, just a split second before I did. It was quick. So quick that anyone else might have chalked it up to exhaustion. But I know what I saw. I froze, toothbrush still buzzing in my mouth. My reflection stood perfectly still. Too still. Then, it smiled. I didn't. I wasn't even thinking about smiling. But my reflection, that version of me in the mirror, stretched its lips into this small, knowing grin. Like it was pleased. Or amused. And then, without me moving a muscle, it turned around and walked away. I was still standing in place. I hadn't moved. But in the mirror, my reflection was gone. Part 2, The Mirror That Lied. For a few long seconds, I couldn't move. The bathroom suddenly felt too quiet. I turned around, expecting, hoping, that maybe I'd see something behind me. Nothing. I looked back at the mirror. My reflection was back, staring at me like nothing happened. But I didn't feel like I was looking at myself anymore. I didn't sleep well that night. Every creak in the house made me sit up. Every shifting shadow felt like something watching me. I kept telling myself I was overtired. Stressed. Overworked. But the next day, I couldn't stop checking mirrors. My car mirror. Store windows. Even my phone camera. Just to see if he would do something different again. It didn't happen. Not until 3 nights later, when I passed the bathroom and the lights were already on. I hadn't turned them on. I hadn't even gone in. From the hallway, I could see into the mirror. I could see the bathroom. But I couldn't see my reflection. Part 3, What Still Walks in My Bathroom. I stopped using that mirror after that night. Call me crazy, I don't care, but I taped a towel over it and haven't taken it down since. I brush my teeth in the kitchen now. I shave using my phone's selfie camera. I just can't look into that glass anymore. But even without the mirror, something's still wrong. Sometimes, when I'm home alone, I hear footsteps in the bathroom. Slow ones. Deliberate. Like someone walking barefoot on tile. They stop when I walk over. But once, when I put my ear to the bathroom door, I heard something breathing. Not loud. Not heavy. Just, there. The thing is, no one believes me. Not my friends, not my girlfriend, not even my brother. Everyone says I need sleep. That I'm imagining things. But you can't imagine your reflection walking away without you. That mirror lied. It showed me something I shouldn't have seen. Something that might still be here. And sometimes, I wonder, what if he is the real one now? And I'm just a copy left behind. Story 2. The Man Who Lives Between Your Blinks. Location, Seattle, Washington. You ever feel like you missed something? Like time hiccuped, just for a second, and something was off? I used to brush it off. Power flickers. Zoning out. Those half moments where nothing makes sense. But then I started seeing him. It began with a flash in the corner of my eye. I'd blink, and for a split second, there he was. A tall man, long black coat, standing way too close, sometimes beside me on the sidewalk, sometimes across the street, once in the reflection of a bus window right behind me. He never moved. Just stood there. And when I blinked again, gone. At first, I thought it was stress. I'm 25, working 2 jobs, and living alone in a tiny studio apartment near Capitol Hill. Maybe I needed sleep. Maybe it was caffeine withdrawal. I told myself anything to feel sane. But the flickers got longer. It was like time slowed around my eyes. I'd close them, and in that nanosecond of darkness, I could feel him watching me. Then came the night I heard him speak. I was walking home from work, 10:43 p.m. I remember the exact time because my phone buzzed, and I looked down. When I blinked, everything shifted. I swear I was still walking, but the street was empty. No cars. No wind. Just silence. And then I felt breath on my ear. "You're blinking slower," he said. "Soon I'll have time to speak." When I opened my eyes again, traffic zoomed by like nothing happened. But I couldn't stop shaking. I wasn't imagining him. I stopped sleeping. For 3 days straight, I forced myself awake. Coffee, cold showers, pinching my own arms until they bruised. Anything to stay in control. Because I had this horrifying thought. What if he doesn't just exist in blinks? What if he lives in every second we miss? You know how you fall asleep and 8 hours pass in what feels like a blink? What if that's his world? I started recording myself. Set up my phone on my nightstand, pressed record, and left the light on. I wanted proof, wanted to see what happened when my eyes weren't watching. First night, nothing. Second night, same. Third night, the footage glitched. The video cut out at 3:12 a.m. and resumed at 3:14. My phone had 80% battery. No power surge. No crash. But in those missing 2 minutes, something changed. The pillows on my bed were on the floor. My blanket was perfectly folded on the chair across the room. I never fold anything. And on the wall, just above the headboard, written in something red, maybe lipstick, maybe not, were the words. Open your eyes slower. Stay longer. I checked the door. Locked. Windows, latched. No signs of a break-in. But I knew. He'd been there. Inside my home. That night, I started blinking in front of mirrors. Over and over, trying to catch him. Like maybe if I timed it right, I'd trap him in the glass. I didn't. But I saw something worse. For the briefest moment, during a blink, I saw myself standing still, and someone else blinking. I wanted to warn someone. I tried telling my best friend, Harper. She thought I was losing it, said maybe it was a side effect of insomnia or a breakdown. So I stopped talking about it. But I never stopped watching. Then something changed. He stopped waiting for the blinks. I saw him in full daylight. No flicker. No gap. Just standing on the sidewalk across from my apartment, staring directly at me through the window. And this time, I didn't blink. I refused to blink. I stared until my eyes burned, watering like crazy. But when I finally had to blink, just for a split second, he was inside. Not outside. Inside my apartment. That was when I knew. Every time I close my eyes, I let him in a little more. So I made a plan. I borrowed night vision goggles. Insane, I know. But they'd let me see in the dark without closing my eyes. One night of sleep. Just one. But the goggles didn't help. Because he doesn't just live in darkness. He lives in absence. In every skipped second. Every memory you don't remember forming. Every moment you thought passed normally. He lives there. And last night, I lost. I blinked, and when I opened my eyes, my apartment was frozen. No movement. No sound. Just him, inches away, face blank, eyes dark like static. You blink too slow, he said. Then he smiled. And whispered. Now it's your turn to wait between seconds. This morning, I woke up in someone else's bed. In someone else's life. I don't think I'm me anymore. I think I'm the one people see in the corner of their eye when they blink. And he's walking around, wearing my face. Story 3. The woman inside me screamed first. Location, Tampa, Florida. I've worked a lot of night shifts, seen a lot of strange things, people split open by street poles, bodies so twisted you wonder if bones ever mattered. But I'd never been in the patient's seat before. It was 3:42 a.m. I'd just wrapped up a double shift, bleary-eyed and humming something low to keep myself awake. I don't remember what song it was. Doesn't matter now. The crash wasn't dramatic. No flames, no rollovers, just a light blowing through an empty intersection and the crunch of metal against my front bumper. Airbag exploded in my face, knocked my head sideways. My ears rang and my chest tightened like a fist had closed inside it. But I didn't lose consciousness, not immediately. I remember everything. The blur of flashing lights. The metallic taste in my mouth. Someone shouting outside. A man maybe. Then came the scream. A woman's scream. Not from outside. Not from another car. It came from inside me. It echoed in my chest like she was trapped there, like she'd been buried somewhere beneath my lungs, waiting for a moment to break free. The scream rose in my throat, but my mouth didn't open. Then the world went dark. I woke up in a hospital bed 5 hours later. Minor concussion, bruised sternum from the airbag, nothing serious. The nurse said I was lucky. I agreed. On the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, something had changed. The scream didn't stay in the crash. I started hearing it again, faintly at first, just before I drifted off to sleep. At 2:17 a.m., I'd bolt upright, convinced someone had cried out in the apartment. But it wasn't coming from outside. It came from inside me. From my chest. I went back to work after a few days. Rode along like nothing was wrong. But every time I held the defibrillator paddles, every time I leaned over a dying body, I felt it, the weight. Not anxiety. Not trauma. Weight. Like someone curling up inside me. And then came the movement. First it was pressure. Then it was shifting. Like something was adjusting itself behind my ribs. Not metaphorically. I mean I could feel it physically. When I leaned forward, I felt the sensation of something pulling back. Like it didn't want to be seen. Not yet. The scariest part? I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? A paramedic hears a ghostly scream and now he thinks there's a woman living inside his ribcage? That's the kind of talk that gets you referred to psychiatric. But I knew what I felt. And I knew she was still in there. 2 nights ago, I responded to a call near Ybor City. A single car crash. Female driver. Early 30s. No ID. No pulse when we arrived. I started chest compressions while the fire crew cut the door open. As I pushed down on her chest, I swear to God, she opened her eyes and whispered, "You found me." Just that. Then she flatlined again. I kept going, even after the vitals were gone. I couldn't stop. I wasn't trying to save her anymore. I was trying to keep her from going back into me. But something changed. That night, the scream didn't come. Not at 2:17 a.m. Not at all. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe she'd passed on. Maybe I was free. But then, last night, I sat on the edge of my bed and noticed something. The inside of my chest was quiet. Too quiet. No heartbeat. I took my pulse. Nothing. And then I heard it. Not a scream this time. Laughter. From inside me. Story 4. My smart home locked me out, and said I wasn't me. Location, Phoenix, Arizona. I live in a smart home just outside Phoenix. Everything's connected. Lights, locks, thermostat, even the fridge. It's like living in the future, or at least, that's what I used to tell people. I could control my entire house from my phone or voice commands. I'd ask Alexa to play music or unlock the door, and she'd obey like a loyal assistant. That night started like any other. I was out late, grabbed some tacos, then headed home. But when I pulled into the driveway, things felt off. My porch light didn't turn on like it always did. I chalked it up to a glitch. Walked up and said, "Alexa, I'm home. Unlock the door." Nothing. I tried again. Still nothing. I opened my app to manually unlock it, but I was locked out of my own system. My Face ID didn't work. Password rejected. I even tried rebooting the app. Nothing. Then I heard Alexa's voice from the speaker on the porch. "Calm. Robotic. Sorry. This home is already occupied." "What?" "I live alone. Please verify your identity," she said. I just stood there. Frozen. The door was locked. The lights were off. And my smart home, my own house, was treating me like a stranger. I called the police. I tried to explain the situation, but it sounded insane. My smart house doesn't think I'm me. Luckily, a couple of officers showed up fast. They checked all the doors and windows. No signs of forced entry. Nothing broken. They knocked. Rang the bell. No answer. Eventually, they got permission to override the lock. Inside, everything looked untouched. Clean. Silent. No one hiding in closets or under the bed. But there was one thing I noticed, the scent of my cologne. Fresh. Like someone had just sprayed it. The officers didn't find anything suspicious enough to hold them. One of them said, "Maybe someone messed with your system. Change your passwords." As they left, my phone vibrated. Smart fridge notification. One new user added / my name. Time, 3 hours ago. What the hell? I opened the system log. Someone, or something, had added me as a new user while I was out. The original account was still there. But now there were 2 of me. One had full access. One didn't. Guess which one I was? I went to stay with a friend that night. I didn't feel safe. Not because someone was inside, but because something was pretending to be me. Over the next few days, more strange things happened. My bank locked me out of my account. Password changed. My email sent a bunch of spam. My doorbell cam caught footage of me, standing at the front door at 2 a.m., but I was asleep across town when it happened. I called the home system company. They ran a diagnostic. Said no breach detected, but one technician slipped and said something that still chills me. "Yeah, we've had a few reports like this lately. It's like the house evolves." Evolves? Eventually, I did a full factory reset. Wiped every device. Changed my name on every account. Got a new phone. New locks. I even moved to a new apartment. But every now and then, I get alerts from that old system. Front door opened. Music playing in living room. / my name has entered the home. I haven't been back since. And if that's not me inside, then who is? Story 5. The reflection that knew something I didn't. Denver, Colorado. It was just a normal Tuesday. I had just come home from work, exhausted, and headed into the bathroom to wash my face. I wasn't even thinking about anything, just going through the motions. Then I looked up at the mirror, and froze. For maybe half a second, the reflection wasn't mine. It looked like me, but not exactly. The woman in the mirror had stitches across her cheek, dark circles under her eyes, and an expression like she was holding back a scream. And her lips moved. I didn't move mine, but the reflection said something. "You'll forget this. But only for a while." Then, crack. The mirror shattered. I jumped back, heart in my throat, breathing hard. But when I looked again, it wasn't broken. Not even scratched. No shards on the floor. Just my own reflection, wide-eyed and pale, staring back. I stood there for a long time, trying to shake the chill that crawled under my skin. Something wasn't right. Something had never been right. I couldn't let it go. That night, I tossed and turned in bed. Flashes of images kept surfacing in my mind, a sterile white room, the beeping of machines, a light too bright above my face. I chalked it up to imagination. But the next morning, curiosity won. I drove down to Denver General Hospital and requested my full medical history, just to be sure. They printed everything out, page by page. I was flipping through casually until something hit me like a punch in the chest. Facial trauma, laceration and reconstruction. Patient / my name. Date, 6 years ago. I blinked. 6 years ago? I had never been in an accident. I've never even had surgery. I would have remembered something like that, wouldn't I? The record was real. It had the surgeon's notes, a date, a recovery plan. Photos were referenced but not attached. It looked official. I called my mother. She got quiet. Then she said something that chilled me deeper than anything else. We thought it was better you didn't remember. You were in a really dark place back then. What happened to me? I asked. You fell down the stairs, she said too quickly. A bad fall. It was an accident. But something in her voice cracked. She was lying. The next night, I had a dream. Only it didn't feel like a dream. I was sitting in a chair in a small gray room. Across from me was a man in a white coat. He wasn't a doctor. Not exactly. He was smiling, but there was something cruel in his eyes. You're going to forget this, he said gently. But only for a while. He reached for something behind me, a needle? A machine? I couldn't see. But I felt the cold sting of something sharp. And then, darkness. When I woke up, I couldn't breathe. I checked the bathroom mirror again, trembling. My reflection was normal. No stitches. No strange expression. But when I leaned closer, I noticed something. For a split second, so fast I might have imagined it, the glass rippled. I've since found 3 different therapists who all said trauma can sometimes be buried deep. But none of them could explain how a hospital file could exist without a memory. Or why my reflection would say things I never said. A few nights ago, I woke up with dried blood on my pillow. My cheek was sore. There was a small scar I swear wasn't there before. And when I looked in the mirror that morning, I saw something tucked in the corner of the reflection, behind me. A man. Watching. Smiling.